have the image for the palette knife, and that's the image traced out on an A4 sheet. And this is the one where I've marked colors out, and those are the 24 set of color pencils. It's okay to have even 12 and then start. In this, whatever shades available closer to what's there in the image is what we are going to do to understand the basic yellows, light yellows, dark yellows, and the different shades of pink and all that. But if you have 12 shades only, you can use them to understand the shades. So for now, let me just keep the color pencils out, some are here on the sides, right? So like let me just pick out the yellows. Okay, so now say if I am going to start with this lightermost yellow. Okay, I'll just pick up an yellow which is closer to this part, and to understand this entire outline, right, that's here, is this part, right? So I'm just going to use a stroke. One side of the stroke is enough. Like, you know, we are not going to do mix and match and then scribble. We start from left to right at an angle and then just follow the outline, because we have the outline done for every small shade here. So that will be the light one. So one is done, right? Then follow this one closely. The darker one is all here. So now if you see that outline on this is this entire place. So I'll just use this darker one and then you put little more pressure, though I know that that pencil itself is a darker one, to overall get a very close idea of how the shading is between the inspiration and one that we are shading now. Because I wanted darker, I'm putting more pressure. So if I was just doing it lightly, this is the color I would get. Now to make it darker, I am using my pencil and giving a little more pressure. I'll just not go outside of the outline. Okay, now that number one is in different places that I have marked already, right? Which is the number one is here. I could sharp this number one, 1, 2, 3, 4. There's 1, 5. In 5 more places I have marked for number one. So I will go ahead and do that. Now which place is this number one? Here is this one, right? So I'll just go there. And now because that is a lighter one, let me do it lightly. So that flows from here and then all the way above the lip till here. So I'll just follow that. And all the way till here is that shade, right? And then this one, you see, very next to the nose and below the eyes is the other number one, which is this part. So I'll start there. Okay, and then the other one is here. This part is here. And then the other one is here on this finger, which is this finger, and this is the lightest tone. So I'm continuing that part, sharpened out the pencil a bit, and you can see there's this part also here on number 1 on this finger, which is this section that we've outlined. Okay, now if I closely look, there is one part here on this finger as well, which is, this is the darker brown. This part is the darker brown, which I will leave. A little above the darker brown, this area, I see this light yellow, which I will do. There's little bit here. This part is also light yellow. This part also, let me just shade the light yellow, and I'm just going to look around if there's any more light yellows. You can see there's little bit here, right? So I'm going to look which part is that, this one. Okay, here all it's darker, but I'm just adding one little tone of this. I can overdo another orange on top of this part, which is this part I'm talking about. Okay, and this is 8, that's a different shade, but here this part is lighter, which is this area. Okay, so now I'll move on to this yellow which I had used here. So I'm going to check all the places where the darker yellow is there. So I will go, this part here is the outlined in this area, right? So again, you know, this pencil and whatever pencil you use, depending on how dark or light it's going to give you the shade, you can use it accordingly if you want to put more pressure as you're doing the shading or less pressure. Now another number 2 is here. And there's one more a little above this area. It's not above, it's just a little below. And if it doesn't show when you're doing, if you use your pencil and do the shading, it will register in your mind. So when you are working with buttercream, you can be very sure that you will not miss out on adding the darker shade there. So there's this part here, right, which is just above this lighter yellow, which is this lighter yellow, and then the darker one. I know, then I have to darken it out. There's a little bit here which I will do. Then I'm checking anything else with yellow. So by that I will just get done with all the yellows that are there on the image. I'm just missing out on this. So look around for all the yellows, which is this part, and complete the yellow, that's the lighter one. Then there's this dark one that you see here just above, and there's the outline is already given. We just need to focus and see if we have missed out. There's a little lighter shade here. Okay, and then you can see this part is the light yellow, right? Just want to show closer. This part is also a light yellow, which is, it is going in continuation from here, and then it just goes all the way there, which is here, and this part. And this is again the darker yellow, that part, which I will color this part and leave. So mostly I'm just done with all the yellows. Move on over to pink. So I'm just grabbing all the pinks and reds. I have two. The others are a bit of purple, red maybe. I'll just have it with me and see where we will have to use it. So yellows moving aside. We're done with yellow, and next let's go start with the light pink. Okay, so if you see, the 3 is the lightest pink. So now pick up all the number 3s that we've marked here. This also maybe number 3, right? So the first number 3, the biggest number 3 that we see is this one. Number 3 is the color that I have already marked here, right? 1 and 2 we are done. So moving on to 3 is this one. See, wherever all the 3 is, this part is also 3. There's a little bit here, and the one shade a little darker than that I've marked is 4. So we can use the same pencil and then do a little the shading with some more pressure, right? So let me just start with this part, lighter pink. So I'm using the same pencil, very little pressure. And this can be 3 or 4. Let me just do a 3, I mean the light pink. And just here, I just need to exactly identify which area is this. So this is teeth, right? So here, I know this is the place where that number 3 is. And here. Then looking, this part I can do a little darker than this, right? So I need to identify where is this pink. This here is the lip, here is that bigger yellow, and so this will be that pink area. So if you have to map from there which part of the outline are we just using it here, you can just track back from which cell you have completed. This yellow looks like I haven't completed it, right? It's just half done. So I'm just going to go over and complete that. And that's a little darker, so I'm putting more pressure. So this area is a darker pink, right? Which is this one. So I'm going to use the same and put more pressure. Okay, then here's that pink. This is number 4. That's just on the left side of this yellow, which is this section. So I'm going to put a little more pressure because that is not as light as this number 3. So we use the same pencil and add a little more pressure. Okay, now I'm identifying where are the number 4s. So here is a number 4, and half of it is a darker version here. So I could use the same pencil, or see if I'm able to use another color. So let me just draw the line here. Within this is going to be this number 4, which is using this pencil and more pressure. This, let me try, it's a pink. Yeah. This is another shade, but still to show a distinctive change in the shade, I'm putting some pressure. So I'm just blending the shades in between instead of having a very sharp line between the light and the dark. Okay, so that blending part is very important. From here, let me do this also 7, because this one is what I've marked as 7. This is also marked as 7, right? So I'll use the same pencil here. This one is just right after that yellow, so it's this part. Okay, so now I'll see where are this darker shades, which is here, this part above the lips. I'll just go and follow the outline. Okay, and then below this number 3 is also this darker shade. This part is like really dark, which is this portion. So let me do with another shade for now, just working on 2 colors on the lips. So here also I can use the same pencil with a lighter shade. So in case you are doing the buttercream, you know there's this dark color, and then above this there is this lighter version here, where you can use the same buttercream and mix it with a little bit of plain buttercream and then get to that place. And here, this section is that pink, right? You can see this part, and a little here at the knuckle of that finger, and some here as well, this part as well. So I'm focusing more of all the pinks. Now here you can see this lighter one is done. This is red. This part is red. Okay, now this and this are the darker shades of pink. So I am going to use this pencil itself and put more pressure and shade it, giving a very dark shading. Here is that pink, but it's a little darker version. So I'll add the pink and then add some brown to it. Onto the same area, you add 2 colors when you're doing the shading itself. So you know when you have to attempt with buttercream, you know what 2 different shades combine together to give you the shade that you're looking at. Okay, here are these darker places which we can do later. Now I'm moving on to red. So this is all red. This gives out orange, more of orange look. So I'm using this red. So every time you do, you just step back to see if you're following the right cells, the possibilities that you get to do the wrong cells. Like for here, I've made a mistake. Like if you compare and see, the pink is a continuation here, and then this happens to be the red, right? Okay, and the darker pink and the 2 darker versions of the pink just ends here. If you see this extreme end at the cheek part, this part, which is this, which I've added the darker pink, is in fact is this area, which is properly purple. So this part is a mistake. So as you finish making the cells, you will be able to understand if you worked on the wrong cells, which you can correct it. So this is again giving me a pink, but here if you see, that's purple, so I am using a purple pencil to fix that part of the cell. So if you've made a mistake, we can just go over it. If the color that we can use is closer to what we want, but say from pink it's a little difficult to move on to a green. Okay, this part is properly brown, which is this one. Okay, so now let me pick up all the reds and complete the reds. I'm going to darken this. So now I'm moving on to blues. So we've completed the pencil shading, and we can retain the normal pencil outline, or you can use an eraser to just erase them off if you don't like it at this stage, but it doesn't matter if the lines remain. So then from this we can compare the wafer paper's outline. When we put that on the cake, we'll exactly know onto which outline what color we've placed using the pencil shade, and so it will be easier to compare this together with this and work on the wafer paper together with the buttercream, and that we'll see in the next lesson.